Hi everyone, Chris Fowler here, and welcome back. This is my first lesson full tutorial for 2020. I hope you're having a great start to the new year. Today I'm going to be covering an intro to the song Eric Johnson does on the Tones album, and that is Soulful Terrain. That song doesn't get as much notoriety as some of the other ones that Eric does, but it's a great song. It's one of my favorite ones, and he uses a cool hold function. And at that time, I think when he done that album, from some of the interviews I've read, he was using Echoplex for the delays on that. And since then, I think he's went to some other types of delays because of the reliability of the tapes in those machines. But today I'm using a Boss DD2 to get that hold function where we're going to strike our first chord of the song, and it's going to be repeating in the rhythmic tempo for the riff. And I do have the tabs today, so I'm going to hold those up on the screen so you can see exactly how to play this intro. But what Eric does in the beginning of that song is we've got this sus4 chord, and why don't we just play the intro to that? I've already got this in my loop here, so let's just listen to Eric do this, just a few seconds of the intro, and then we're going to show you how to play it. Here we go. Okay, so we're hearing some cool chords happening, and we've got an add 9 chord and a sus chord that's going on. But the first thing you're going to want to do to get this happening is to go through these chords and get the shapes down, because it's all about shapes. And when you start this song off, you're going to be doing this A flat sus4 chord. And the way to approach that is basically you're taking the 5th, 4th, and 3rd string and you're placing them in the 6th fret. And then you've got the 1 and 2 strings are in the 4th fret. And that gives you your sus4 chord. And then what Eric is doing is he's striking the chord and then letting the hold function pick that up and repeat it in sync. You will notice that if you listen to the studio cut, it's a little slower than the Austin City Limits version. So you can compare those. Eric's playing it much faster on the Austin City Limits version in the introduction, because when he hits the loop, it's a little faster. Probably just how he set that up in sound check, not having it exactly like it was in on the studio cut. So, but I did notice Tommy Taylor, the drummer, I think Tommy was drumming on that particular Austin City Limits. I could be wrong on that. You might want to check that. I know he had a different drummer in the very, very first episodes of the Austin City Limits videos. But anyway, I think they slowed it down a little bit toward as the song progresses back to the original tempo. So it's easy to start something too fast when you're playing live. We've all been in that situation where we're excited. You've got the adrenaline going, and sometimes we play stuff too fast. Guitar players are notorious for that. Thank heavens for drummers, because they're listening to us going, listening to the guitar player like he is playing that way too fast, and then they have to slow us down. But here's what that's going to sound like if you have a delay with a hold function. Again, I'm using an old Japanese Boss DD2 delay, which I've had for a long, long time, and it's pretty much bulletproof. And I've got that set to pretty close to the tempo that we hear on the studio track that Eric's got going on. So I'm going to strike this chord, then depress my hold function and let that repeat. Okay, so that's going to set my tempo, so we can hear the synchronization of how these chords are going to line up. So when we start our first chord, we're going to be doing this E flat add 9 type chord, and the position that you're going to have your hands or your left hand in this, your fingers, by the way, not all of your hands, your fingers, but the tips is going to be the 5th string 6th fret, and if we just trace this out as like a cluster of notes, and when I put the tab up on the screen in just a few minutes, you're going to see the whole thing laid out, but we're going to have the 5th string 6th fret, the 4 8, the 3rd string 6th fret, and then the 2 and 1 strings are in the 4th. So that's going to give you that E flat add 9 kind of chord. Okay, and what EJ does is pretty much plays the first 4 notes of that. Okay, which are 5 4 3 2. There's going to be a slight shift now where we get our next thing that we're going to do, which is a pinch, and EJ is using the hybrid technique to do this. If you watch the Austin City Limits version of that, you can YouTube it. It's right there on YouTube, right here on YouTube. So that would be, and that's going to be the 1 string 4th fret and the 4th string 6th fret. And when you're in that chord, that's kind of like a G. It's like another sus chord. 1 2 4th fret 3 4 6. Okay, so you're pinching that 1 and 4th string. So the first sequence being. Let me try that again. Okay, now if I do that with my chord, let me just do the first 2 chords with that, and we're going to kind of pace through this, because this is the skill level of this is pretty intermediate. It's you know, you can do this. You don't have to be a guitar wizard to do this. It's not very fast, but it's good for your learning your chord knowledge. So I'm going to hit my sus4 A flat into the repeat, and then I'm going to play these first 2 positions. So. Okay, so that's what you're going to sound like with the repetition of that sus4 chord. Okay, so let me go through the next thing that's going to happen, and what you're going to do is you're going to slide down now to your index finger. To feel comfortable with these chords, you're going to be kind of sliding into this, and the index finger will be all of a sudden in the 6th fret, and you're going to have the 2 is all, in the 6th fret, and then the 5 is in the 9. So you're going to pinch those 2 strings, the 2 6th fret, the 5 string 9th fret, and in the middle of that you'll have the 3 and the 4 on the 8th fret. So that's what that chord shape will look like, and it'll sound like this. Okay. And let me just go ahead and put the tab up on the screen now so you can see the sequence of these notes. And you can always refer back to this by swiping back and looking at them on the video screen. So here's what that's going to look like. We've got 2 lines. There's 2 lines that EJ plays, and the only difference in the second line is he does not do a hammer-on. And you can see that as it goes across. Okay, so when you're doing those first 3, you're now going to go back to the final chord, which is a G flat sus. And the first time that EJ plays that, he hammers that 2 string from the 2nd to 4th fret. So that's probably the hardest chord to do, and do it in the speed of the riff, because we're having to go. There's such a wide interval gap between that fingering and where you came from, and the setup of this is very uncommon. And the most uncommon thing about this whole song is it's played in flats, you know, because you could probably play this riff in a natural keys and make it a lot easier. Actually, I've done this before. I played it when teaching the song. I've showed how you could actually play this in naturals, and it's a lot easier because you can actually have open strings. But I think where that might come from with EJ is he's also a piano player, and piano players, I play keys, and I know all about how it is to play in these flats, and certain songs are in, you know, flats, sharps, whatnot. So that's probably how he wrote this riff. He might have written it on the keyboards, who knows? But that's what you're going to be doing right there. And again, that is the 4th string, 4th fret, 3rd string, 1st fret. The 2 is right underneath your fingers there in the 2nd fret, and that's where you're going to hammer to the 4th fret. So, you know, you can see EJ's fingers if you watch the Austin City Limits version. You can see him doing that. You can see him where he actually hammers right there. And then the second time, you pick it. And that's on the studio track, of course. But I'm going to see if I can play this now. I've rehearsed it before I did the video, but let me see if I can go ahead and do this so I can demonstrate it for you. And if I goof up a couple of times, I'll just keep going until I get it, and that's the way you'll learn it as well. So I'm going to start off with the sus4 chord, and let's see what we got here. So you can see it's a pretty wide interval. There's where you'll feel that's the hardest to go from when you're from that down to there. That'll be the hardest part to get to. Once you get over that, and if you can get your get the repetition of that key avenue, you can feel where that lies in the mix there. And it's a really interesting thing. Again, I'm going to put the tab up one more time. Now that I've played through it, you can look at it and see. And you'll notice that the pinches happen here and here. And you can see those lined up. Hopefully you're seeing this in a really good view there. So that will get you playing the intro to Soulful Terrain. We'll listen to EJ do it one more time now that we know how to do it. I managed to play it with EJ one time there, actually a couple of times. So that's a great way to learn that intro, by listening to EJ play it and putting his signature sound on there. So we got some cool chords. It's a great intro riff. It's one that not a lot of people probably maybe know. Just maybe if you're just getting into EJ for the first time, you might not know about this song. You might not know about the Tones album, period. You might just have started with Via Musicom, where Cliffs of Dover came in. But anyways, research back to that album. That's a great song to learn, and it really pushes your skill level to the next step up the ladder, of course, because of these chords. Hope you enjoyed today's lesson. Don't forget, if you're new to my channel, please subscribe and ring that bell, and so you can stay updated on all the latest stuff that we've got coming up. So 2020 is here, folks. Let's make it a great one. Let's get some good stuff going on the guitar. And keep practicing very, very hard. I will see you on the next vid. Take care.